Our story begins with Mikagami Kuji, a 15-year-old boy who has just been summoned to another world. It all started the night before. Instead of going to bed early for school like he should have, he was up late playing video games, his usual routine. Kuji was just a regular student with no special skills or talents other than being a gamer. But he wasn't just any gamer. He was good, really good. He rarely lost, no matter the genre. As he played, completely immersed in his game, a strange light suddenly appeared beneath his chair. Before he could react, the light engulfed him. And just like that, he found himself in a completely different world. As Kuji tried to make sense of what had just happened, he looked around and noticed a summoning circle beneath him, just like the ones used by priests in anime. It didn't take him long to figure out. He had been summoned to another world. Before he could process more, a woman's voice cut through his thoughts. She introduced herself as Zaid and apologized for summoning him so abruptly. Zaid asked his name, and he replied, Mikagami Kuji. She promised to explain everything in due time, but first there were a few things they needed to check. A group of people quickly surrounded him to evaluate his abilities. They explained that everyone summoned to this world receives a blessing from the goddess upon arrival, and they needed to identify Kuji's. Suddenly, gasps of surprise filled the room. The evaluators were shocked. Kuji didn't seem to have any visible skills at all. Except for one. Copy. Kuji's eyes widened. Copy. He thought to himself that this was the kind of overpowered ability given to protagonists in manga. Maybe he wasn't a hero, but this might just make him strong enough to become one. Excited, he turned to the group and asked, So, does this mean I'm amazing? However, Zaid looked at Kuji with clear disgust, then turned to scold her team. She demanded to know if they had followed the summoning procedure correctly, specifically channeling the magic flow clockwise. Her companions responded that such detail sounded more like superstition than necessity. Annoyed, Zaid snapped at them to shut up and do exactly as she says next time. Then, she glanced back at Kuji with disdain and ordered her team to get him out of her sight. The summoning ritual had cost at least 1,000 mana stones, and bringing in a human without any useful abilities was, in her words, a complete waste. His blessing was nothing but a massive pile of trash. Without hesitation, Zaid sent Kuji to the Coliseum, a place reserved for those summoned from other worlds who lacked impressive abilities. In the next scene, Kuji was thrown into a cell. Outraged, he shouted that he wasn't like the other slaves, but the guard simply replied that he was there under Zaid's direct orders. After all, he had no outstanding skills. His only blessing was the ability to copy the abilities of others, regarded as the weakest and most useless gift imaginable. Because of that, Kuji had earned Zaid's anger and contempt. In this world, abilities were everything. If you didn't have a powerful one, you were considered nothing more than trash. The weight of realization crashed upon Kuji. His copying ability was utterly useless. But before despair could take root, mocking laughter echoed from the shadows of his cell. A girl, her voice dripping with amusement, couldn't believe her eyes. He had been summoned, only to wield such a pitiful power. Introducing herself as Zulu, a fellow enslaved fighter, she studied Kuji's confusion. His blank stare betrayed his ignorance. This world, its rules, even his own fate. He knew nothing. And so, with a smirk, she offered him the truth. This was a religious nation, locked in a brutal war. Desperate for strength, they summoned warriors from other worlds, each blessed with a random skill. Those with exceptional abilities were prized. But Kuji, his power was worthless, a waste of 1,000 precious mana stones. Instead, he'd be thrown into the Coliseum, a spectacle for nobles, a gambling pit for commoners. Like a gacha game, Kuji muttered. Zulu only blinked. References from his world meant nothing here. Then came the true horror. Defeat meant enslavement. But not just any enslavement. The loser would serve the victor in every way. Kuji's blood ran cold. As a man, his fate was worse, transformed into a woman, then broken in. The arena's rules were twisted. Men fought women. Win and claim your prize. Lose and your body, your very self, would be remade for another's pleasure. There are skills for that? Kuji's voice cracked. Zulu's laughter was his only answer. As Zulu continued, explaining the limitations of Kuji's copying ability, her words painted a grim picture. She emphasized how a borrowed skill could never match the original user's mastery, no matter how powerful it might seem. Even the most vital abilities would remain ineffective in the hands of someone without proper training or talent. True strength, she insisted, could only be earned through dedication and hard work, something a mere copycat would never achieve. The conversation took a darker turn as Zulu revealed Koji's impending opponent, Torture Mary, a former knight turned ruthless executioner who specialized in eliminating worthless summoned individuals. A single strike from her would mean instant death, though Zulu casually added that even death wouldn't be an escape. The arena's magic would simply revive him, only to transform him into a woman and subject him to the victor's desires. Kuji sank to his knees as the horrifying reality settled in. This entire world operated like some twisted gacha game, where summoned beings fought for their lives in a coliseum, only to face an even worse fate if they lost. The sheer absurdity of his situation struck him. Not only was he trapped in this nightmare, but the rulers treated it all as mere entertainment. Then something inside him snapped. His expression transformed completely as a manic laughter burst forth. In an instant, his perspective shifted. This wasn't a living hell, but the most realistic VR fighting game imaginable. The rules, the stakes, even the grotesque consequences of defeat all became exhilarating game mechanics to master. Zulu recoiled in shock as the trembling, fearful boy she'd been mocking moments before now stood before her with the wild eyes of a seasoned gamer who had just discovered his ultimate challenge. For Koji, this changed everything. He might have been just another video game addict in his previous life, but when it came to games, especially fighting games, he never ever lost. The scene shifted to a dimly lit chamber where Mary, the feared gladiator, berated her trembling slaves. "You're getting sweat on my armor again," she snarled, striking one as a nervous messenger entered. He froze mid-sentence, witnessing the cruel spectacle. Regaining composure, the man announced her upcoming match. Mary's eyes gleamed with malice upon confirming her opponent was another summoned nobody. "Perfect," she purred, already devising special punishment, eternal servitude for this worthless intruder. The Coliseum erupted as the announcer introduced the combatants. On one side stood Mary, the Flame Knight, noble-born, undefeated in 20 battles, her combat prowess legendary. The crowd roared for their champion. Opposite her cowered Koji Mikagami, visibly shaking. The announcer mocked his pathetic copying ability as the weakest possible skill. Among the spectators, Zaid watched intently, his gaze piercing through the chaos. The stage was set for what seemed less a battle than an execution. The arena echoed with mocking laughter as spectators jeered at Kuji, pitying his hopeless situation against the undefeated Mary. Their taunts of impending doom hung thick in the air until Mary herself silenced the crowd with a predatory smile. Leaning forward, she purred a twisted promise. Should Kuji cease to be a man during their battle, she'd personally care for him as her new serving girl. The threat only made Kuji stride forward with unexpected confidence. "Wrong," he declared, voice cutting through the noise. "I'll crush Mary instead, and she'll be the one serving me until she drops." The crowd gasped as the combatants faced off, Mary bristling with rage, Kuji wearing an unreadable smirk that left everyone wondering, was this a desperate bluff, or did the underdog truly hold all the cards? If you made it this far, you're definitely one of us. Want to see the full manga breakdowns? No cuts, no filters, no boring black bars getting in the way? Then sneak over to our Don't Tell Senpai Patreon. Over there, we go without filters. Full manga videos, a wild, like-minded community, and stuff we really can't post here on YouTube. Links in the description. But remember, don't tell Senpai. See you on the other side.